Okay, now for the sake of the time limitations on YouTube, about 15 minutes each, I'm just going to jump right into part 2 here. So we're going into part 2 of why I use NinjaTrader and how I think it's optimal for the way I like to trade and the flexibility it offers. So we were just looking at how do I do it? How do I take all that information? Oh, by the way, be sure you watch part 1 of this video or you won't know the context for what we're talking about. But so going back at just a very brief review, we identified on the 60-minute time frame the scale of the last week or so to let us know that we're real happy to get trades to sell up around 43.24, and we're seeing that the buying comes in around 43.09. The body's here, and these levels, there was a level here at 12.75. Most of Friday was holding above that, so those were the lows. It did spike down all the way to the 408, 408.50 area. So that brings us to where we just cut off on the part 1 video. How do I do it? How do I actually use all these tools? Isn't this a little too complicated, etc.? Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you once again. I feel that NinjaTrader is offering the big advantage of the flexibility and the quickness of being able to set custom designs up and to be able to evaluate the structures of the price action and momentum if you were into using indicators. If you're not so much into using indicators, just to get the visual of what levels you really want to start selling. Basically, what we were looking at on part 1 is anytime the market was up here, everything that we had done examining this market in the bigger picture showed us that this was outside value. They weren't ready to push this up to higher value. It was very obvious. So we're looking to sell up in the upper ends of that range. The upper end of the range it was the day before, and the upper end it was in the night session. You see again with NinjaTrader, you can just crunch it all together, and you really get a picture of the value. That this is an area the previous day they basically thoroughly established that there wasn't going to be any momentum if somebody tried to push it above 43.21 area, 43.22 area. So on this day, they spiked into it real quick off the Merck 830 open and slammed it right away. And the whole day, it was just very anemically hanging around up there, and they gave it plenty of chance if any of the bulls wanted to buy it, but it wasn't happening. So that's just the contextual background. How do we make trades to make money? And that's what I'm going to be focusing on for the duration of however long I'm putting material up on this website, because that's really my area of primary focus. I feel there's just so many simple things you can do to get a feel for where the market is in the big picture, and then to have a lot of confidence about what you feel the opportunities to trade in a certain direction are. Now that doesn't mean that I know always which way the market's going to go. I'm not saying that at all. But what I do feel is that before I put on a trade, I'm going to be very confident that I'm going to be putting it on in the favor of whatever the momentary direction is, to the extent that I have an extremely high probability in my favor and that I can make money on it in a short period of time. And that's why I like to use the 110-tick chart or the 1-minute chart. This is also good. Same thing. That this is you're going to be able to look at more time value of what something's been building up. And once again, you can quickly use the tools in NinjaTrader to get a very, very clear picture of key points in the market and what it's really doing right there. I mean, once you're on a 1 minute time frame, you know, it can show you right away, well, you didn't even get a 5-minute bar holding above this key level here. This was just the spike they gave us in the first hour, you know, after the 8:30 mark. But this is the level that was really not, you know, that the momentum of the day and the interest of the participants in the market. This was a Friday. They just weren't ready to break this out to new highs for sure. So again, having this context, I find opportunities to get into trades. And the big opportunity of the day, from my perspective, is when I see a move like this, and I see this establishing that the interest isn't there to push it higher, then I see a strong down move, then I'm just really anxious to fade the rallies. It's that simple. And, you know, then, whatever time frame you want to use, it's a matter of a logic of putting in orders. For me, every time there's a pivot low or a pivot high, I usually find I can trade off of that. I can put on trades at those levels, in other words. So, you know, and I don't care what's the trend or not the trend. When I see a day like this, I feel it's not a trend, period. Am I looking for trends? No, I'm looking for extremes. This is my way of trading. Now, again, I trade my way. That doesn't mean I'm saying other people should trade my way. In fact, I don't really believe that. I feel what I'm trying to facilitate on this website is to help everybody learn how to look at a lot of different tools and find a way that really fits their aptitude, their experience level, you know, their size of their account, their objectives, their capabilities, their weaknesses or whatever, and you put together your plan in that context. Now for me, again, I just want clear pictures. That's what I want to trade off of. I'm saying when I see that, I'm figuring, well, that's a good place to trade. And how do I do it? This is how I do it. NinjaTrader has this great tool of the chart trader. So I was just finishing up part one. When I call up the dome and I see, okay, I want to start fading these rallies, I look at this tick chart because it shows me pivots. And so I see a distance from this pivot to this pivot. That's about where I'd like to be selling up here. I see these levels that we drew in on the 1-minute chart. I see that this is a level I might want to sell. I see that this is a level I really would want to sell. So this is an area that basically I can start, because I want to fade this rally all the way up. I don't want to fade it right here. I mean, if I do, I can make maybe four to six ticks, but I'm waiting until the market, what I feel like this long rally is getting oversold. So anywhere that there's been pivots, these are places I feel I can make money. Now, one way I can make money that's even trickier is if I scale. Now, when I see this, I have an indicator on this. These areas I'm starting to really think are good to sell. Now, you can start putting other tools on that a lot of people like to use, for example. Again, that's another great value of NinjaTrader. Maybe you're a Fibonacci fan. And, you know, if you are, there's nothing easier than NinjaTrader to do fibs. And that makes this area here where I like to always draw in my little kind of zones at the key fib levels of the and I always make them the same colors, you know, what they have on the bars there. So if I want to do some kind of green, you know, for the 618 level, that's good enough. And you know, I can make it more visual if I want. Then all of a sudden, you know, I'm not going to have a problem selling here. I mean, everything is there because this is a market that really broke down. We've seen it on the 60-minute chart. We saw the value. We saw the 5 days that we're setting up, making the value pretty definitive. And so the odds of them breaking here, you know, on the noon trade, on the post-lunch trade at the end of Friday, it's just telling me to sell. I want to sell the 50% area too. And so, you know, I have all kinds of information making me really want to sell here because the money is most likely going to be available. It's a very high probability. And so the 50% level, now I also look at other things. The distance from this high to this high is about the same as this high to this high. How do I know that? Well, again, NinjaTrader makes it easy. You can put that there, then you copy it like that, and then you paste it. And you see, okay, is that next swing about the same? Okay, now here's where the scaling comes in. If you did scale and you thought you wanted to start your scale here, well, you notice there on this I have the blue line is the previous day's close, the brown line is the pivot for the day. So I start my scales here, you know, about the equal of that swing, and I'd be getting in too early. But I can put it in. And then I can also take a look at this swing here. And see how that compares. And that's a dead match. So I'm looking to sell around the 50%. I'm looking to sell around the 62%. I'm looking at the way the market's moving in parallel fashion here to the tick actually on the swing that came from here to here. And, you know, that's topping out very close to the 50%. So I start selling a little bit before because I have a pivot here. I feel like that might be resistance. So I might put in my first sell order right here.
Order pending.
Even with that. And then I put another one in, a tick above the 50%, for example. Or
order pending.
Or maybe right at the 50%. So let's. But you know, then I want to start putting them in at the. By the way, you see how easy it is to just drag. So I'm going to put one in right around the 62%, and you know, I put another one in maybe a little above the 50 here.
Order pending.
And maybe I'm starting to see, okay, now where am I at? I'm 1550 and I'm 1650. That's about maybe I prefer doing 3 ticks separating. So I could put on a fourth one here then.
Order pending.
And then it's very easy to do. It's very fast, and I have a visual here. If I want to move orders around over here, I just click and drag. So again, the NinjaTrader functionality is really ideal for how I like to get into trades. You know, I like to trade levels, and I like to trade what I feel is the strong direction for the last couple hours. And so if I get a confluence of things telling me that, you know, for example, a big I've been saying this to myself for 20 years or so, that, you know, support broken becomes resistance, and all of this here is a huge amount of resistance when they spent the whole day. If you remember, go back to our profile kind of perspective on the market from my blog Generation 2. Or, you know, whatever, maybe you have a background in market profile, but if you don't, I recommend studying a lot of videos on market profile on my Generation 2 blog. But So there's a lot of value established right here that they didn't really have enough energy to break out of. So once they broke under that for the day, and then the lunch hour, around 12:30 Central Time, they always do a counter trend move. But there were just so many things saying that this was just a fantastic place to sell. So you could be scaling in however aggressively you like to, depending on the size of your account. And NinjaTrader's chart trader is just the cream of the crop.